Welcome, everyone, to our fifth Texas Construction Association podcast. That's number cinco. And we are honored to have our great friends, Eric and Melissa Lesch of Pcl Bonding. They're out of the DFW area, of course, to discuss today the business of bonding in the Texas construction industry. Eric and Melissa, big welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. We're glad to be here.
Awesome. And folks, if you notice, the Lesches or me go in and out of focus. It's just kind of the technology of today with all the AI generated stuff. So I don't know, that may add to the interest. First off, please give everyone an overview of what the bonding business is all about. Of course, we have many within our industry who will listen to this today and know what bonding biz is all about. But some listen from outside our industry, don't know the specifics. And of course, Eric and Melissa, we're always trying to draw folks with education and branding into the construction industry, into our businesses. Your company, Pcl Bonding, fabulous company, been in the Dallas-Fort Worth area a long time.
38 years.
38 years. You mentioned
almost
on
39.
Or almost 39. You mentioned on the website that bonding is comparable to a credit product, very different from insurance, however. How so, and what's important about the service y'all provide?
Well, so first of all, bonding, it does depend on your perspective. For people that are in the industry and use bonds, there's one thing for people, and the way you use bonds, that's a different perspective depending on an owner or a GC that requires a bond of a contractor or the contractor providing the bond. Our clients are the contractors that are providing the bonds on the job. Bonds, they protect everybody from the contractor. So if a contractor, unlike insurance, where insurance protects you from others or you from other bad things happening, basically.
You purchase it to protect yourself.
Yeah, insurance you purchase to protect yourself. Whereas bonds, when you purchase a bond and you give it to somebody, it's protecting them from you, which is completely backwards. You're not buying a bond to protect yourself. Right. You're buying a bond like you would buy materials to provide on the job. But the bond gives a peace of mind to the owner or the general contractor that you're working for that you're going to stick around, pay your bills, finish your job.
You're financially secure.
Mm-hmm. Right. Bonds are a credit product that demonstrate that you are financially capable and have the knowledge and manpower
to complete the job on time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. These are major, massive construction projects, right? And continue. That's a great take.
Some of them are.
They can vary in all different trades, from painters to drywall to steel erectors, from all different trades.
Underground utilities, site, all the site work that goes in, plumbing, electrical, all the MEP trades. Really, any construction trade, it can have a bond, and it doesn't have to be a massive project either. Some of the bonds that are required out there, I mean, what's the smallest bond we ever did was like $500.
Wow.
I don't consider that worth doing, but we've had some much larger bonds. But our clients, some of them are just mom and pop contractors, very small, and some of them been in business for many, many years, while others may be brand new in business. What we're looking for is the best ones.
Right. And that's a perfect segue, Eric and Melissa. You're also very different in that, I guess, in a good old fashioned way, you like to have a sit down with the interested company or entity or mom and pop who are looking for a bond. And like you say, I guess really see if the company or persons are going to be a good fit, and you can get a good gut feeling about them too as well.
It really comes down to character, Brian. Right. It's all about character. It's
integrity, honoring a handshake. You can get a feel pretty quickly how they run their business. When we meet with them, we talk about why they got into business. A lot of times it is a family-run business.
Many construction companies are, and even the big ones started out as a small family-run business usually. And so they've all come through that and grown through that process. And so we also are family-owned and second generation now.
And the bonding business too is a relationship that you should have, one of the longest relationships you should have in business. That is one that you carry through. You don't want to switch that because it is very personal. You see your clients' personal financials as well as their business financials. So it is a very personal relationship.
Yeah, we see the same information that the bank sees. We see the financials, tax returns, but then we ask additional questions. We may talk to your work references, project references, architects, owners, general contractors that you've worked for. Typically, our new clients that we make, they are people that we already know their reputation in the marketplace.
Or referrals. We don't really
from our
market.
clients.
A lot of our business comes from referrals.
Word of mouth.
And that's kind of been the best way. They seem to be the most qualified, and that way it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
This may be off the cuff a bit. Are people then, even the small bond numbers, $500,000, whatever, I guess they're really eager to come to you, right, to get things going. Sometimes that's what it takes.
Well, they know our name in the market. They know we've been around. They know we have an ear to what's going on in the industry. We're very plugged into different associations. We've been part of TCA for a long time. We know the players in the area. We know what's going on, who's coming in. Sometimes, this day and age, especially COVID, all the issues we have in the area with that hail, with roofers coming in, all different contractors. Texas has always been a strong market. We're kind of in a buffer area, and there's some new players that come in, and some of them we don't know, and that's why it's so important to be part of an association, be part of TCA, which comes with being members of these associations. That networking is just key. And I think that's what sets us apart. And also, we are in a niche. We only do bonding. That's all we do. We specialize in that arena. We love what we do. That's our niche. We know it well, and we're staying in that lane. So
that's wonderful. And then I guess, because it's fun, it's interesting to talk about. You hear numbers. You all mentioned, of course, at the outset, some of these aren't whopper numbers, but smaller bonds. But talk about some of the size of these bonds for interest's sake. Eric and Melissa, not company mentions, of course, but there are some giant construction projects that require really big bonds. And do you find, is that a lot more interesting to you? I don't know.
It's very, it's overall, they're all very interesting. At the top level, the federal government and all the states, there's laws in place that require all public entities to get bonds from their contractors. Yeah, and it's really why the bond industry exists. If we didn't have the laws in place that require bonds from contractors that are working on public projects, then there would be the market for bonds would be much smaller. And in the United States, that is the biggest bond market, is the United States. Other countries aren't. They're starting to use more bonds, but they use a different product in other countries typically. So, but when you're talking about the federal government and the state governments requiring bonds on public projects, some of those projects, like for instance, in Dallas, when we had the LBJ Express, they built that. That should have been bonded because it was on public property. And this goes into issues with Texas Construction Association, TCA.
Yeah.
That job didn't get a bond, even though it was on public property, because it was private. It was a private project, but it was on public property. You couldn't lien it if you were a subcontractor.
Just imagine all that money.
Yeah, that was billions of dollars of work, and there was no bond to protect the subcontractors on that project. And one of the bills that we got passed last session does require that bonds are required on any projects on public property, even if it's private money. And that's a big benefit. Huge. But you see a very large projects into the tens of billions of dollars, requiring bonds. That's massive. And those projects have many, many layers of contractors working on them. And bonds can be required at any level. So a sub hiring a sub, if they want to get a bond from that subcontractor that they're hiring, they could ask that subcontractor for a bond. So it's not just at the top level, but bonds can be required at any level in the project. And that's why we see small bonds too, because sometimes it's further down in the project. But also there's so many public projects and so many projects out there that are smaller that most of the bond revenue ends up coming from those small and mid-sized projects. And for us,
we like to be a partner with our clients. We like to not be just that, yes, we want to be a team member. And we always say you should surround yourself with a good team. And that includes a good construction CPA, a good construction attorney, a good construction insurance agent, a good construction bonding company.
Good construction, a banker that understands construction.
There's so many facets of it.
And those are so key, and we've seen it. And if you have that team around you that knows what they're doing, knows the industry, you can't put a dollar amount on it. It's so valuable.
And when we're looking at the quality of companies out there, the quality of contractors, and people want to know, like, what do we look for when we evaluate a contractor for bonding? I can tell you that the number one indicator of a good contractor is the quality of the team that they built around them. And that's going to be their people internally, and that's going to be their advisors externally too. If all I know about a contractor, if I knew nothing else and all I knew was the industry professionals that they used, surrounded themselves with, if that's all I knew, I feel like I would have a high 90% chance of telling you, being able to rate that contractor as how successful they are.
Right.
Just based on the people that they surround themselves with and the length of those relationships. If they're changing relationships all the time, that's an indication of instability.
Right.
But if they've got very long-term relationships with high quality industry professionals, that's a great indicator of a strong company that knows capable,
what they're doing.
Knows what they're doing.
Those
are the kind of clients that we have, and those are the kind of clients that we want to make in the future.
That says a lot about y'all in PCL, because you're team people and people, and that you look at that as a key focus. That says everything about you and the way you all work. That's really beautiful. With that said, let me ask you, when PCL hires folks, I imagine you got to find employees who are familiar with the construction business, ear to the ground, financials, paperwork. And then, like you say, they got to have good intuition, right? And look at a vitae or a resume of a company. And if they've jumped around a lot, some flags go up, I guess.
Well, and I think that's the same thing when you look at people on an individual basis. Is you want to see how stable each individual person is. You typically look at how often they jump from job to job, or how any sort of movement that they have in their personal life. When you look at the individuals and you want to know, you look at the same kind of things. Who do they associate with? Who you associate with tells a lot about who you are as a person.
Wow.
And so it's our industry. I don't know that anybody grows up dreaming that someday they're going to be a bond agent. I mean, I get it. 007, you want to be a James Bond. Maybe there's kids that dream about that, but that's the closest to dreaming about being in the bond industry.
But we were totally different careers. We didn't. Eric was asked to be, take over or be involved in the company many years ago. And he said, no, I want to do my own thing. I was doing physical therapy realm. It was totally different. And then he came on 15 years ago, loved it. He came on right when his dad had a heart attack. So it was almost ideal, not ideal timing, but it was timing. It all worked out. It was pretty seamless. And then I came on about 10 years ago. Because I love the people. I love our clients. I love the associations. It's just, good quality people. Our clients become our friends. It's just not our clients. We become invested in them, in their success. So it's very.
But the other thing is that for us, as far as hiring people, our industry, like I said, people don't dream about being in the bond business when they're young, and they find themselves in our business by accident, really, through just meeting somebody and getting into it, finding out about it, or showing up to an interview.
Sometimes over finance, a degree.
Yeah, a lot of times it's going to be somebody with prior, let's say somebody that was in insurance before, or they were in banking, or something that is close,
right?
An industry that's close that they can make the move over. And so a lot of times those parallel industries to bonding is where we end up picking up people. But right now, all the agencies out there are mostly shorthanded. You know, it's
Right.
they've been struggling to have people and find people, whereas and all of us are moving towards technology. We're all
Right.
trying to solve a lot of the shortage of people with technology.